Hey, this is Time Bomb, and if it's your first time checking out the channel, hit that subscribe button to catch all the updates. Thanks a lot for joining me here today. I'm just going to do a breakdown on the QB1 news that just dropped on the live stream. I don't know if you guys were watching it. If you were, you're going to, hear my breakdown and what I'm thinking about it. It was pretty interesting to get all this breakdown kind of at once. The QB1 mode is a replacement for the long shot mode. It sort of combines a franchise mode or campaign mode with a superstar mode. So if you would play 2K, sort of those My Players, which I've never so much played myself, it's kind of an advanced mode like that. Now what they're saying is that in all these story cutscene areas, there's going to be a choice there. You're not just going to watch anything. You're going to make a choice there, and then that choice will have consequences or results, an effect later on in that mode. So that's pretty interesting. So they're really trying to give a more immersive experience with this, and also with the franchise mode itself. So I kind of like to see this because I've been playing a ton of franchise mode lately, and I like that they are trying to make it a lot more fun, kind of for, I think, kind of integrating development that way. So they did get into some interesting stuff. So in Superstar mode, you develop your QB. Basically, you start off with him, like they said, going through college and then getting drafted. And then he's basically into his career. And along the way, each week, you're going to have goals to help boost your players. It's not, because previously in like franchise mode, it would only be over the season with your coach that you would create a goal so to help you build XP. But now they're doing it so it's weekly. So the example that they gave is if your team is going up against Joey Bosa, it would be like, how confident, I think they actually said J.J. Watt, not Joey Bosa, just to keep it 100%. So how confident are you against him? Do you think you're just going to win the game? Are you going to stop him from sacking you? Are you, whatever the case may be, are you going to be able to run the ball for however many, whatever the situation might be that will help you boost a specific player in a specific way? As well, a very interesting point that I thought is that they're going to give you an opportunity to change those development traits as well. So say you draft a guy in the 6th or 7th round and he's just got like a normal dev trait, so he's not boosting any faster. Now, if you play really well with that player, if you have breakout performances with him, then he can develop into those higher dev trait areas and develop faster, and then you can get him into the X Factor or Superstar or these different traits in the zone traits that they basically have in there. So you can develop these players up to the highest level. So that's pretty interesting that they're doing it this way. The scenario engine in CFM in this QB1 mode, in the franchise mode, is promising, I think, because it's going to give you a lot of different ways to develop the players. Another big thing is that they said overalls for players are actually going to start way lower. They said some of the starting players in the NFL are going to be 50 overalls. 50 overall starters on your team. That is going to give a big ceiling of growth for sure. And now, well, the reason that they're doing this, they're saying, is it's going to give that big room for growth as well. Players who are higher in the 80s and 90s are going to make such a big difference. Like, they're going to be huge impact players. They're going to be noticeable on the field. And I mean, just like kind of just talking with people while it was happening, kind of in a group chat here with the other CFM mode, they pointed out, like, I mean, offense is going to be lit at the beginning. Like, when you're going against players that low, it's gonna be tough to be able to contain those offensive players. So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it could add an element of realism to it. I just hope it's not too out of whack and unbalanced, but it is exciting to see these ratings be so different now. Another thing, they said 400 plus players under 70 overall. That is so many. That's like the vast, I mean, not the majority of the league, but a big percentage of it. That's got to be at least a quarter of the league is under 70, more than that. Like, so you're going to have to deal with a bunch of low overall players on your team for sure, and then a ton of mid-level players. They did show the new layout of kind of like with your team. It's much more colorful and much nicer looking as well. I like the new layout. They also brought up that there's going to be some different scheme fits. They've expanded some to be more flexible, so non-scheme players will be able to develop at a better rate. See, what they kind of mentioned is that if you've got yourself, let's say, in the deep threat, I think they use that one as an example, then any non-deep threat players were getting a big hit, I guess, as development. They just weren't developing as fast as players who do have the deep threat trait. So it was tough that way to develop players at an equal rate. Now I think they're saying that the non-scheme, they basically, first of all, more players will be able to fit those different schemes as well. It'll be the scheme fit will each scheme will be more open to for more players as well. The hit, if they're not scheme, or the lack of growth, will be a lot lower. And I think it kind of said, like, I think also though I may be mistaken about this one, but it seemed to me that the way that it could play out is that also the scheme boost won't, the XP won't be as high as it was before. Maybe I'm mistaken about that, but definitely for the players who are the non-scheme fit, they won't take as hard as a hit as they may have in the past. They'll still get some growth from it, even though they're not part of it. So that's interesting as well. They kind of had the example of that screen with Andy Reid here. Someone showing some of his different players in these different schemes. Okay, so what else do we have to talk about here? Core request feedback. They didn't really get too much into that. They more just kind of like asked specifically what they could do, and as well they're going to kind of get into Ultimate Team and more about these Superstar and X Factor abilities next week. They did mention that in franchise, you can only have 3 offensive and 3 defensive X Factor players. So that's one thing to keep in mind. They won't be able to overwhelm your team, so that is going to have to make you keep some balance. We'll also see how the cap is going to play into this. I noticed in the CFM that I'm in, it's really only in year 4 when the players have developed and they're really going to take a contract hit when a lot of them end, because we did a fantasy draft, so pretty much everyone was on 4-year contracts. So I know after year 4 it's going to get hairy in that league. I feel like contract issues, I feel like it's going to be tough to afford more than 3 of these X Factor players if they do get to that point. So it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to work out in the league. A couple things off the top I didn't mention is that Mahomes is the cover athlete. Aaron Donald is the ambassador, so he's kind of covering the defensive end, where Mahomes is on the offensive end. So they're both kind of, bringing the game along. There was one funny point too that I should also mention, where Cralo kind of mentioned something about ball trajectory, and he said how they were disappointed in the ball trajectory in Madden 19, which that's one of the most common complaints I'd say this year, is that you can get lurks for balls that are thrown like 40 yards downfield are being intercepted like 5-10 yards away, and you're just like, really? Like, I'm throwing that towards the sidelines, like way downfield, and he's picking it off here, like basically just behind the line of center. Like, how is that? So I think that complaint they're kind of trying to address with this ball trajectory. Another thing that someone mentioned to me is that the pump fake mechanic has been added, and you're going to be able to kind of like, you're going to be able to specifically pump fake here, but then maybe make something like a cloud flat kind of bite down, and then you've got like an out route breaking behind it, and you're just going to be able to hit him easily downfield and then rack catch it way down, which could be kind of glitchy. I feel like there's going to be some glitchy stuff, especially if Ultimate Team, which we'll find out in 2 weeks, if Ultimate Team also has these way lower overalls, it is going to be bananas at the beginning of the year. I don't even want to playing online with that low overall would be rough. All right. So that was pretty much my breakdown on this first stream. Each week they are going to have a different stream breaking out a different aspect of the game. I'll keep trying to keep up to date with that and giving my thoughts. It was interesting to see what's coming with Madden 20. It's looking promising. Let me know what you guys are thinking about what they dropped and what I've said about Madden 20, what your ideas are. Make sure to give this video a like. That helps out the channel a bunch. I've been Time Bomb. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you later.